name is Raymond O'Neill, and today I'll be giving a presentation on the mismanagement of the Los Angeles Angels. So who are the Los Angeles Angels? The Angels are a professional baseball team that's part of Major League Baseball, and they operate out of Anaheim, Los Angeles. The Angels were an expansion team in 1960, and they were owned until about 1996 by individual owners before they were bought by Walt Disney Company. And then in 2003, Arturo Moreno purchased the team to become the first Mexican owner in Major League Baseball. Now, since Arturo Moreno had purchased the team, they have not won a World Series, and the year before he purchased the team was the very last time they won. So this poor success on the field is accompanied by a very high payroll, which is a result of being based in Los Angeles and attracting big stars, but there's also a higher cost of living in California, so the team is able to afford those big stars. But are they allocating that money correctly? And that is what we will get into today. On the financial side, the Angels have increased their revenue pretty much every year since the team was bought in 2003. But a lot of this is a result of being in a high-value market where California has an increased cost of living, so that people can afford to go to these games, which drives up revenue. They can afford to pay for food and drink at the games, which drives up revenue. But the Angels have mismanaged the money that they get from this increased revenue. So they tend to give out contracts to players that are unproven. They've only had 1 year of success, but before that they were average or poor. The Angels give them a contract, but then they underperform based on what the Angels signed them for. So these players are gone from the Angels in a couple years. They also like to give out contracts to players that are aging. So they gave a 10-year, $250 million contract to Albert Pujols about 12 years ago. But he was already in his 30s, so he was already into his prime. The best years would be in the first couple of years of the contract, and then they'd be paying him past that. There are other examples, such as Josh Hamilton, who had off-the-field issues, but these were well documented. The Angels took the chance, and it didn't work out. They also signed Anthony Rendon, who was a player with injury issues in the past, and since the Angels signed him for a 7-year, $245 million contract, he's only played in about half the games that the Angels have played in that time. And they also tend to make trades at the trade deadline to make a playoff push. They want to be able to sell playoff tickets, get people excited about baseball in Los Angeles. But they trade for players that are on expiring contracts. So these players are going to be gone from the Angels at the end of the season. So this is best exemplified in 2023 when the Angels traded multiple top prospects for players that were on these expiring contracts. So they're only with the Angels for a little bit, but they can hit the ball well, so the Angels want to make that playoff push. But when these players arrive, the Angels lose many of their games following that and are now out of the playoff picture. So they have to put these players onto waivers so they can be signed by another team. They no longer have the services of these players, but they've sold all of their prospects that could have been good for the future. So they're trying to mortgage their future for winning right now. And it just hasn't worked out, and the Angels have not been able to put a good team onto the baseball field. The Angels have a few options when it comes to how to best go forward with this team. So one of these is as simple as a change of leadership that can bring in a winning culture to the team rather than what the Angels are currently producing. So this would start with the owner and the general manager, who for the past decade or so have seemed to be more focused on selling tickets with big stars that they can promote rather than a team that can actually have success on the baseball field. This was thought about a couple years ago when the owner was looking to sell the team. This has not ultimately gone through, but this can bring a winning culture to the team. It can bring somebody that can make fans excited again, which is another point that I have down here about improving fan morale. There's an article by the Los Angeles Times that's all about how longtime Angels fans no longer have hope for the team each year. They know that they're going to be an average team, then they're going to try to make a late playoff push, but ultimately disappoint the fans. So there's not a winning culture within the fan base either, and this all starts with the owner and general manager not making good moves for the team to have success. And the biggest thing that the Angels can do is set clear goals for where the franchise needs to be within the next 5 years. Do they have minor league players that are going to be capable of having an impact on the big stage? Are they going to sell these players? Are they going to sign non-aging stars that are right in the middle of their prime, but they're on expiring contracts with their current team? So the Angels really need to sit down, set their goals, know how they're going to execute specifically what they're going to do. And these are the three biggest things that can lead to a successful baseball team once again. They need a change of leadership, starting with the owner and general manager. They need to set clear goals for what the team needs to be within the next 5 years. And they need to improve the fan morale and get the fans excited about coming to baseball games again. While the Angels have had success financially, they have struggled to put a good product onto the baseball field. This is down to poor planning and misallocation of contracts. They need to learn from the mistakes that they've made for the past 10 years and really look at the contracts that they're giving out and what players that can be better suited towards. The Angels have had two of the biggest stars in baseball, but haven't been able to put a good team around them, unlike other teams that have star players but can put a good team around them. And the biggest thing can be to make a true ownership decision about whether the team should be sold or not, and this would help with moving forward with the team and having a clear and concise plan, which is the most important thing for the Angels moving forward, to have a new winning culture and to have a better plan for the future of the team.